Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently on an escape trajectory out of Kerbin with our greenhouse module, but we need to determine where our other vehicle is in terms of how long before it has its maneuver. So that's the storage module here, and it looks like that's going to be in 1 year, 83 days, and 2 hours. Okay, so in that case, that's not a problem then. What we need to do for now is keep that in mind, and we need to hop over to the greenhouse module. If we've got over a year, we've definitely got some time to work with here. So let's get this loaded in. And then we're going to warp out of here, although we need to not auto warp out because we know that can cause some issues. Are we on a good trajectory after just loading it in? Because we were when I left this. Yes, this is a good trajectory. Okay, let's go ahead and go to 5x warp. And then just slowly creep it on up there. Okay, perfect. So now we're on our way. Hang on, I just noticed, this isn't a big problem because we have Kerbals on board, but I just noticed that we do not have our antenna extended. So let's go ahead and extend our antenna. That'll be absolutely fine. And there we go. That'll fix that problem. Not that it was that big of a problem with Kerbals on board. But let's just head on forward here. Bring this up to about 10,000 X time warp, and let's get out of here. We're probably going to have to do a little bit of inclination change and then some braking at our destination. I'm noticing we've got about, really, only 2 kilometers per second left. I mean, that's not a problem, but I expected to have a little more than that. I know it was a really inefficient descent profile, but that surprises me that it was that inefficient. Okay, so at this point, we are zoning into the sphere of influence of the sun, which we are now in, and that is absolutely perfect. So our next step here is to get an inclination change, maybe. What would it look like if we were to attempt to head over here? I don't think we even need an inclination change all that badly, to be honest. So, at this point, we cleared the target, helpfully. Set as target. There we go. So we can see our timing is about as off as it gets. That's understandable. So at this point, if I can grab this, we're going to need to move this around quite a lot. Ah, look at that, though. That's an encounter right there. That's going to be in 408 days and 2 hours. That is actually before this storage module would do its burn. Not by a lot, but it is before it. So let's hop into Duna and see what this resulting burn will be giving us. We're definitely going to want to dial this in a bit if we can. So let's bring it a little bit on the normal axis. That's a little too much on the normal axis, actually. Maybe more like here-ish. And then we'll just dial this in to be about here, but maybe a little closer than this even. So we just need to be pretty cautious with this. Somewhere around here-ish. But we definitely would like to do a little bit of normal tweaking on this. So not that way, but this direction. So if I line this up like this, then we can see roughly what it's going to end up looking like, and we want it to be something akin to this. This isn't perfect, but this is pretty close, actually. That's really close. Okay. So that's 610.9 meters per second, and in 408 days. Now, we should be heading over to that node. I'm not entirely convinced we are. Oh, we're warping right now. That would help. Okay, so we're going to head over to that node and get into position for that. So we're 10 days in. We know that it's now going to be like 1 year, 72 days before our next movement. So that's understood. And let's take a look at how we're doing on our resources here. Everything is absolutely fine as of this moment. So we're just going to continue to build up waste and consume oxygen and electric charge. At this point, water is going to be continuing to be consumed for the moment. As of right now, I'm not terribly concerned about it, but we can activate our oxygen scrubber, which I think is on this side. That's our water purifier. Here's our carbon extractor, and we're now going to turn that on And I want to see if this is still going to be net negative on the oxygen. I expect it to be. Actually, it's net positive. Okay, in that case, we don't want to turn it on yet. Cool. So at this point, we're ready to just head over to this warp point. The real question is, if we auto-warp, how much is that going to change our resulting target orbit? Because we really like the target orbit that we have right now, right? We'll find out. I'll make a save here just in case something goes catastrophically wrong, but I don't expect that to be the case. If we warp here, this periapsis may or may not change. We'll see. It didn't. Okay, that's a good sign, but it probably will when we start warping on the other side. So that's something to note. We may have to do a corrective burn on the way in here. And that's absolutely fine. So we know that this warp is A-okay. Yes, we know that we're going to run out of food on the Duna base. That's a foregone conclusion. Those Kerbals are going to enter into hibernation. That's fine. For the moment, that's not a major concern. That will be fixed when this module is attached. So the food is depleted. They're going to die. That's okay. Well, it's going to say that they're going to die. They're actually going to enter hibernation because that's our headcanon. So that's absolutely fine. I'm keeping an eye on our oxygen supply at this moment, and we should probably turn on... Yeah, they died of starvation. That's expected. So we should probably turn on our water purifier at this time, and I'm also going to turn on our carbon extractor. Because right now, we're full on wastewater, which means that we're actually dumping our wastewater overboard. Similarly, we're full on carbon dioxide, so we're dumping our carbon dioxide overboard. We're much better off to be actually running this, at least for right now. So let's continue to warp this. We've got another roughly 200 days, and we'll pop back out of warp once one of these fills up. That water is not going up very quickly. That's okay, though. We don't actually care about that. Yeah, for the moment, this seems absolutely fine in terms of our resource usage. I'm not very concerned about that. This burn is going to be in about 80 days. So that looks fine. We'll just continue to warp here until we are all the way through this, I think, and then we'll turn these off once we're arriving at our burn position. At least for the time being. We have burned through a lot of our carbon dioxide, but that's okay. Jeb and Bill died of starvation again. Okay. They, of course, aren't actually dead. But we're going to stop our water purifier for now and our carbon extractor. They are in a hibernation state right now. They're dried out. They're desiccated husks. So that's okay. We'll rehydrate them once we get there. So we're currently about 2 days away right now. And we're just going to continue to warp forward. There we go. And now we're about 1 minute away. Now, I want to check to see what our burn is. Yeah, that hasn't changed. So that's very, very solid. I'd like to absolutely nail that. We'll see how it goes. Should be very interesting indeed. So we're going to have about 40 seconds here. 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay. So this is our target point, and I would love to hit this exactly as it says. I don't think that's actually going to happen, for the record. Especially since we've got multiple vehicles currently traveling. So that's going to make things very interesting indeed. This is going to be roughly a 3-minute burn, so I'm going to physics warp this. And we are going to be burning out of these strap-on tanks relatively soon here. Although, we're going to get... we're drifting off of this. I'm going to enable a little bit more gimbal here. There. Now we're properly on the node. What's our thrust to weight right now? 0.16? Okay. Yeah, this is a heavy payload. No doubt about that. So we're going to be out of fuel here in these side tanks very soon. Just double checking that the staging is correct. It indeed is. Okay, let's pop out of physics warp at this point. We can see that we've only got about 2 seconds of fuel left here. It's done. That's a minor issue. I should have considered this. Okay. Cutting that, freezing physics. We're going to have an engineer EVA. We can fix that just from right here. So we're going to... Come on. There we go. We need to grab a strut from somewhere. So where is a strut that I consider expendable? I'm going to grab... If we can position ourselves a little bit better here. I'm going to grab a strut here. And I'm going to take it from here to here. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to grab this strut. And I'm going to position it here to here. There we go. That should solve the problem. We're going to hop right on back in. Okay, this hatch is, I believe, over here somewhere. Where is that hatch? Oh, it's down here, isn't it? Yeah, it's down here. Okay. Down on this side. Cool. So we're going to hop back in here and then complete our burn. We're slightly late on it, but it'll be fine. Okay. Lock to that node. Oh, the burn reset on us. Okay, that's awkward. I guess we're going to put this in kill rot, and we're going to need to redo this maneuver node. That's okay. We know we're in approximately the right timing here, and this is actually relatively fine. So if we just do something kind of like this, we can dial it right back in. So at this point, we can see we are going to need a little bit, and I want to align to this node. Thank you very much. We need to do this about up here and then dial it in ever so slightly. Ooh, that was a lot. Let's not dial it in quite that much. Okay, just bring it back a little. I want to pin this open so I can see the altitude. About there will do for now. We need to change the inclination. So that's going to be down over here and then dial back out the altitude a little bit. That's pretty close. And about the best that we can do for now. So we're going to call that good. It's a little high, and I don't love that. But considering that's our step size, okay, we'll have to accept it. So we're aligned to this node. This burn is now going to be in about 2 days, but I'm going to go ahead and initiate the burn now. It doesn't really matter. With these extra struts here, we should no longer be wiggling around like mad. Okay, so let's get this burn relatively completed. We just have to get close enough, right? But then we know that our next event is not with this vehicle. So that's noted. We need to know how far to warp. Because I'm also concerned about running out of resources here, but it should automatically break our warp and warn us if that's going to happen. So that should be fine. I'm not concerned about food here, so I'm deliberately not running the farming apparatus at this time. But let's just get this last little bit of burn completed here. This is going to be very, very sensitive. Okay, I'm going to thrust limit us way, way, way down at this point. 0.5% thrust. And let's just dial this guy right on in. I want to make sure that we're coming in the right direction as well. That would be useful. Okay, let's bring that up a little bit. That encounter with Ike is very awkward. Ooh, that's very awkward, actually. Huh. That is an incredibly awkward encounter with Ike. I think we're going to have to pull it back, but we don't know what our resulting orbit is going to be from that. So we're going to need to bring this to essentially orbital retrograde. And yeah, I just don't know what our resulting orbit is going to be. So let's physics warp as we turn all the way around. That's going to take a moment. Okay, we're making some progress on that anyway. We've got a lot of delta V at this point. We are basically fine in terms of the delta V department, so no concerns there. My main concern at this point is the positioning of Ike here is really awkward for us and was not predicted by the maneuver node. So there's that. Okay, so let's just position ourselves over at retrograde. And let's dial this back ever so slightly. Okay, that is straight up an Ike hit at that point. But I really don't know what this patched conic is going to do. That's the issue. We're going to be propelled like this, right? But it's not going to be very much. Let's just keep dialing this back. And then that's an impact trajectory. That timing is just awful. Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to bring this back over to prograde, and then we're going to pull this back out, and I'm just going to guesstimate. Since we don't know what the patch conic is going to be after that Ike encounter, we're just going to have to pray. Which is, you know, definitely what you want to hear in this situation. Absolutely. But we're going to want a very minimal encounter, so I'm going to try to do this as little as absolutely possible, but this is the time to make the changes. So we'll see how it goes. We're not quite perfect in our inclination. That's understood. We'll fix that when we get there. Assuming we have the DV, which we probably will. Okay, let's pull this back out a little bit here, and let's see just how close we can get. So that is barely an Ike encounter there, but we really need this to be out over to like here or so. So if we run that line might be decent. We'll just have to see. Okay. We'll call that good for now, and we need to head back to the tracking station because our next maneuver is going to be in this same window with our storage module. That should be somewhere around 100 days away, I think. Something like that. So let's see, where is our storage module at this time? Let's get zoomed out here. This is our greenhouse module. This is the storage module. Okay, yeah, I'm aware that the food is depleted there. So the maneuver node is going to be in 91 days. That's about exactly when we expected it to be. So we're going to get that started, and then the next thing after that, after this burn is done, is we're going to be doing the greenhouse again. And you can see just how much more efficient and lower weight this module is. Our ascent profile was way more efficient, and this module is way lower weight, so there's that. We need to be aligned at the node, and we are absolutely not, so let's just get turned here. The node is going to be in 91 days, and I want to check the resulting encounter. And of course, Duna is to... No, not the survey satellite. Duna is to be our target. Hang on, let's just do it this way. There we go. So Duna's our target, and this is going to be a bit out. We can dial that in somewhat. Ooh, that was a little much. That was a little much, too. Let's bring it back. Where are we? This is wanting to change a lot. Just from the scroll wheel. So, I think we're also having an issue with an encounter. Yeah, that's what's happening here. We definitely need to alter our inclination a little bit. So that's going to be coming in more akin to this. I want to do a little more, something about like that. And let's see what we can get here. Okay, that's a very That is way too much on the inclination front. But we're going to need to change that. Oh, yeah. I'm going to call this good. We've got so much DV. This is fine. This is worse than what it was, but it's okay. So we're going to warp forward. That seems absolutely fine. Oh, we're in physics warp. Let's auto warp forward. There we go. And we've got about 70 days here. So get that all lined up. This is not going to be a perfect encounter, but it doesn't need to be. The real question is, how are we going to do on our fuel for the others? Oh, wait, we have no probe control? Why do we have no probe control? We were just able... We have probe control now. Okay, I don't know why we had no probe control while warping. That was weird. I was just like, we should have probe control here. Under no circumstances should we not. Maybe it was a weird warp quirk. Who knows? For now, this burn is going to start up in about 1 minute, and this is going to be a 5-minute burn, according to this. Hang on. No, we're not thrust limited. What's our thrust to weight? 0.14. Okay, well, that'll do it. We've got about 5 more seconds here. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, so this is going to be a long burn. We'll physics warp it for sure. So we're going to be ditching these tanks. These are staggered stage separations, which is more efficient than what we did on the other vehicle, but, you know, more work. And let's just see how long this is going to be in terms of burn time on this stage. Okay, this is going to be like 2 minutes of burn time here still. That's fairly significant. Well, we'll just accelerate our way right on up. Again, we have so much DV on this, it's not a concern. So the next question is, who's going to arrive at Duna first? And I think it's going to be the greenhouse, but we'll see. Okay, time to stage. There those tanks go. Fantastic. Our thrust to weight is up to 0.17, so that's nice. But yeah, that Ike encounter is really messing us up right now. It's absolutely fine. I'm really not terribly concerned about it. We're going to be coming in this direction. Ike is, I believe, going this way. Yeah, so we're going to be coming in prograde. That sounds good. 40 meters per second. And let me come out of physics warp here. There we go. So about 3 meters per second to go here. We don't have to hit this terribly accurately. This is fine. This should do the trick. Where are we at? Yeah. So this is a pretty hefty inclination, no doubt about that. If we burned prograde, we could dial this in a fair amount. But now we're getting that Ike encounter, and we just don't know where we're going to be. So there's that. This Ike encounter is going to be in 319 days, 5 hours, and 34 minutes. Let's head back to the tracking station and see which one is going to arrive first. I do believe that it should be the greenhouse module, but I could be wrong about that. We'll see. Okay, so the greenhouse module is one of these. Hide the debris, please. And hide, well, no, don't hide bases, because the greenhouse module is actually flagged as a base. So this encounter is going to be in 272 days. That is definitely before the storage container was going to be. Where is the storage vehicle at? Well, it's this guy. If we switch to that, we can see that's going to be in 316 days. So the greenhouse module is definitely the one to fly here. And we don't know which of these is actually going to be in a decent orbit. I suspect neither of them. Well, we know for a fact that the storage module is not going to be in a decent orbit. The inclination is going to be wacky on that. I don't know what the greenhouse module is going to end up looking like. That's going to be real interesting. We should probably... Actually, I don't think we need to run the scrubbers at all here. I suspect we can just warp straight forward. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to get this vehicle into position for its for its orbital transfer braking bird. That's not the term. That's not the term at all, but you know what I mean. We're going to be entering the Duna system. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge SDL, Rornaz, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.